Good afternoon. My name is Kiley Briggs. I'm the Northeast Turtle Conservation Coordinator for the Orianne Society. And what I'd like to talk to you a little bit about today is a wood turtle that I've been following using radio telemetry for the past few months, who's really been making me nervous in terms of the habitat she's been hanging out in. You may have noticed some background noise. That was a truck just whizzing by on this major state highway that this turtle has spent the better part of the last several months foraging right next to. In fact, on a couple of occasions, she was found sheltering almost directly underneath someone's mailbox. Now, obviously, hanging out on the side of a major highway is not a great place for a turtle to be spending its time. From a year-to-year basis, this turtle's individual risk may be relatively low because she's pretty old. She's probably been doing this for many years, and if she's still alive today, that means that she's probably not venturing out onto the road itself, at least not very often. However, if you add all those years up and look at her odds from a decade-to-decade basis, or even longer, my guess is eventually it will be a car or some sort of roadside maintenance equipment that ends up killing this turtle. Now, not only are roads traveled by cars and trucks, and this one sees quite a bit of traffic, but at least a couple times a year, a tractor is going to drive along the edge of this road and just mow all of the vegetation down for safety reasons so that vehicles can see, or so that drivers can see what's on the side of the road. And if this turtle is in that 10 to 15 foot margin on the side of the road, that's the area that's going to get mowed. So if it's not a car, it wouldn't surprise me that it actually ends up being just some mowing equipment maintaining the side of the road that ends up killing this turtle. So what is this turtle doing here on the side of the road? It seems quite clear, having followed her for the past several months, that this is her preferred area to forage during the summer. During the early spring, when she first emerged from her overwintering location in a stream, she spent a little bit of time staying really close to the river. And then in early to mid-June, she started roaming around and exploring some nesting habitat. She laid her eggs in late June, and then as soon as July rolled around, she left the river, came up to the edge of this highway, and she's been here ever since. And the vegetation here makes a lot of sense for turtle foraging habitat. It's early successional open habitat with a lot of raspberries. Raspberries being a pretty highly valued food item for wood turtles. They particularly are drawn towards any sort of bright colored fruit that's low to the ground. So I'll show you this turtle. So she's pretty old, which we know because the top of her shell has worn fairly smooth. When wood turtles are younger, they have very distinct growth rings on each of the scutes of their shell. And you can actually age them for about 20 years just by counting those rings. But then over time, those rings smooth down as the turtle ages. And like I said, she's probably been coming to this road, to this margin of the road for many, many years. And she survived so far. I really hope that she continues to do so. But my objective in following her around is so I can identify a locally specific threat to the conservation of wood turtles in this particular population. And then after studying these turtles using radio telemetry for a couple years, we'll have a better idea of what sorts of conservation actions can help conserve and protect this population of wood turtles. So what can we do to help this particular turtle? Unfortunately, the solution is not obvious. Wood turtles are creatures of habit. What they do one year, they're likely to do the next year, and so on for decades. And if I were to take this turtle and pick her up and move her back down to the river, where arguably it's much safer, she would most likely turn right back around and come back up to the side of the road again. So a conservation strategy, an approach that may work here, actually won't be to do anything that's going to solve the issue for this specific turtle, but perhaps manage the habitat closer to the river in such a way that improves foraging conditions down there, so that future turtles, as they're developing their home ranges, as they grow and start to explore the landscape, don't feel the need to venture very far outside of the river valley to get the resources that they need throughout the year, so that fewer turtles actually come up and start and discover this particular patch of raspberries, this foraging habitat right on the side of the highway.